A very good morning and welcome all of you to the daily news analysis for 11th of March 2025 with me, Jatin Verma. So, in today's news analysis, my dear friends, we are going to talk about behind the rise of quick commerce. You know about Blinkit, you know about Zepto, but how are they affecting the conventional mom and pop stores? Then, parliamentary panel asks the centre to conduct census at the earliest. We are going to talk about the salient census data in today's news analysis regarding this particular clipping. There are the other news articles that we are going to see. India's second largest arms importer after Ukraine in 2020-24. The complete period of 4 years, we are the second largest importer. Thanks to the Ukraine-Russia war, otherwise we would have been at slot 1. So, are we really a sovereign country when we are surrounded by the hostile neighborhood like Pakistan and China? Then, real money gaming industry brings out the code of ethics. The real money gaming industry has been, a kind of area of contention. We are going to see how can we regulate this, and yet at the same time, how can we tap the advantage out of it, the commerce out of it. SEBI may rejig short selling norms. What is short selling? Hindenburg scam you all know about. Now SEBI is going to tinker with the short selling norms. Let's get started. So, starting with the editorial, first of all, closing the gender gap in the higher judiciary. Why we do not have enough number of women in the high courts and at the Supreme Court level. So, this is an editorial of the yesterday's newspaper. Nonetheless, it is very important how to ensure the adequate representation of women in this judiciary segment. Talk about lower judiciary. Should we impose reservation 1/3, right? 1/3 reservation as we have in local bodies. We are envisaging reservation in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha also. Judiciary is purely governed by merit as the criteria, but there are certain flaws. So first of all, we are going to see the magnitude of the problem as to what is the shortfall, what is the number of judges in the high courts, the women judges. Then we are going to see what are the reasons behind it. Then we are going to talk about the solutions surrounding it. Okay, a typical way of answering the UPSC mains question we are going to see. So let's get started. So the article says that even though we have made a tremendous progress when it comes to the representation of women in legal fraternity, women lawyers especially. Cornelia Sorabji was appointed as the first lawyer. Ever since, the number of women lawyers has increased. Several women lawyers have been designated as the senior advocates. Remember, guys, the appointment or the designation as the senior advocate is very difficult, especially for the Supreme Court. Now, the number of women in the legal profession has increased, but many women have not been able to climb up to the level of being appointed as the judge of the High Court. Even though certain states in India, when they conduct state PCS judicial examination, like we have state PCS examination for SDM, etc., there is a state PCS judicial examination. In that judicial examination also, certain states has a policy of, they have a policy of 20%, 30% reservation, horizontal reservation for women, right? But there is no reservation for women in the higher judiciary because higher judiciary is completely based upon merit. Now this article says that there seems to be a systemic bias, a glass ceiling against women. Women cannot rise above this level because this is the sole preserve of the males. Inequality at the top. You talk about the SC/ST reservation also in the civil services, etc. Okay, so there the same kind of bias is visible here also. Only 14.27% are women when it comes to all the 25 high courts of India. 109 out of total strength of 764. You talk about 79 judges of Allahabad High Court. Out of that also, there are only 3 women. Okay, Allahabad High Court is the largest high court when it comes to the number of judges. Out of 25 high courts, only the Gujarat High Court has a women chief justice. Right. So why this kind of a problem is there? We have understood the problem. The problem statement is inequality at the top. Why so? Then reasons for inability. The average age of appointment of men is 51.8 years. The other day we celebrated International Women's Day, right? 8th of March. Now here we see the problem. The average age of appointment is 51.8 for men, but for women it is 53 years. Thus, the women judges do not reach the positions of seniority. So that is the problem, that the retirement age for High Court judges is 62 years. Considering that, what happens is even when a woman is appointed, she would not be able to serve for a longer period of time as compared to their male counterparts because they will retire early since their age is 53. Now remember, here we are talking about the average age only. We are not talking about Some women are appointed as late as 60 years. So they serve for a period of 2 years only when it comes to High Court. Now, the number of Supreme Court, further, the article says that when it comes to the Supreme Court, the representation of women is even worse. With only 2 women judges serving at present, one of them about to retire in 2025, we would be left with only 1 woman judge. Now, the last appointment was made in 2021. Ever since, 28 judges have been appointed further in the Supreme Court, with none of them being women, no women at all. Okay, since 2021. And the problem here is the writer starts with the theme that why the appointment of women at the Supreme Court or at the High Court level is celebrated like anything. Okay, so we have to arrive at a level, the writer says, that wherein the appointment of the women judges to the Supreme Court or to the High Court is taken normally, just like the reservation, the appointment of the male members is taken quite casually. Why do we have to celebrate every single women's appointment as the judge of the Supreme Court or High Court? So that tells us about the grave situation here. So this being the data, 9 men from bar have been appointed. So problem is, it's not that the lower judiciary people are being elevated to the High Court or then to the Supreme Court. Okay, that is maybe the number of women appearing for the state PCS exam are less. Okay, the problem is there is a parallel track of the members of bar, the senior advocates, the eminent jurists, they being considered for appointment to the High Court or to the Supreme Court. Now here, out of the 28 judges that have been appointed, out of them 9 members are from the bar. That is open appointment procedure, you can say that. These members are members of the bar who are eminent, who are meritorious, who have given pleaded for some good cases. They are considered. Out of these 9 people being considered, no women has been considered. So this is the problematic situation. This tells us about the inherent bias of the system against women. Okay, had there been, if there were even a single case of women being considered, we could have said that okay, the system does not have any bias, but it's just the scenario that number of women in the legal senior fraternity, senior advocates fraternity is less. Okay, so when men are being appointed directly from the bar to the Supreme Court, but only 1 woman has been elevated directly from the bar, so that makes us believe that yes, there is some glass ceiling which is not visible. Okay, now moving further, many justifications, then another thing is justifications are given that many women candidates do not want to pursue the career as a judge. They do not want to become judge because of the time cost and the cost effort that it requires, and managing their household chores, etc. The conventional wisdom, that is the conventional argument that is there, that women are not able to manage the tough roles. Then there aren't enough eligible women candidates, not enough women with seniority, or that women do not want to become judges. These 3 arguments are patently given to justify the low representation of women in the higher judiciary. All of this is merely the top dressing. The writer says that these are cosmetic reasons. At best, these are not the real reasons. Okay, seen as inferior, one of the main reasons the writer says is the exclusion of women from the higher judiciary is deep rooted and systemic inequality, the inherent belief that women are inferior to men. Second, face heightened scrutiny. Whenever the name of a women lawyer is nominated for the consideration of the collegium, the scrutiny of their judgments that they have pleaded for, they have argued before the High Court or the Supreme Court, they are subjected to certain strict criteria. Well, the criteria itself is doubtful. There is no clarity on how the collegium recommends a name and how the collegium rejects a name. Okay, so women lawyers nominated for judgeship, they face heightened scrutiny. So reason number 1 is this, reason number 2 is this. Moving further, opaqueness of the collegium system. Well, this is the criticism that is all prevalent. Not only for the women representation, not only with regard to the women, but sometimes the names which are beyond, not so beyond doubt, have also been represented, have also been recommended to the President of India under Article 124 for appointment as the judge. So the solution lies in addressing the problem of transparency, opaqueness in the functioning of the collegium. We have been discussing about it for a while now, like it's been 2015. till 2024, the NJAC Act was passed for reforming this criteria for the appointment of judges, guys. Right? No clearly stated criteria for eligibility or merit is there. That what is the threshold? Has he delivered? Has a judge, he or she, has she argued for any PIL related cases? If yes, what was the argument? Okay. Has the judge been pro, you know, welfareistic causes or environmental causes? These type of criteria are missing completely when it comes to the names being considered by the collegium. Now the writer says that there are two hurdles. First, the names are not considered at the collegium level, no effort to nominate the women in the first place. Then even when the names are nominated by the collegium, the four senior most judges and the CJI, the names are recommended to the government, those names are not approved finally. Okay, so glass ceiling 1, then glass ceiling 2. Okay, glass ceiling 1 is still transparent, translucent, but this glass ceiling is completely visible. That why government does not recommend the names. To my mind, what happens is sometimes the openness, or I would say the brazenness, I might be using a strong word, with which the matters related to bribery, etc. Okay, we all know that there is corruption in the judiciary. Everything is not hunky dory. So, the brazenness with which the men are open vis a vis men, men are open to men in the matters of corruption, lane dean, settlement. Okay, that kind of openness, that kind of comfortability is not there between men and women, men lawyers, men attorneys, and women judges when it comes to settling the cases. Okay, talk about 2G, talk about Vodafone case, talk about the out of court settlement. So that is another glass ceiling which we should talk about. And the problem is, we are discussing about the arguments. I'll give you my own opinion also. The problem is when women judges are not there, we come across the oral observations by the judges wherein the judges say that living in live-in relationship, if a woman is found to be living in live-in relationship, she is labeled as keep in Hindi means rakhel. Okay, so these type of remarks have been made by judges. Then talking about the Domestic Violation Act, because of the male dominant judiciary in the Domestic Violence Act 2018, the judgment, the law was diluted by the Supreme Court to the effect that the automatic registration of FIR was prohibited. Later on, the parliament had passed the bill again, amended bill, to restore the law to its original glory, that if any domestic violence act complaint comes by the women, it should not be taken as the harassment, as was alleged by the judges. The senior judges, the male judges of the Supreme Court said that domestic violence act is being misused. So when we do not have the representative judiciary, the adequate representation of the women in the judiciary, these type of comments, like which are totally of the patriarchal mindset of the society, or which are pro men, or you remember the case of Justice Gogoi, female sexual harassment, a law intern, and then Justice Gogoi went on to become the Rajya Sabha member, nominated by the current political dispensation, the government, exactly, the recent government, okay, government in power. So these type of instances happen when we have lack of representation of women. Why do we need the adequate representation of the women? I have answered that point. Okay. Now, if we talk about the 2020 onwards, 9 women's names have been recommended by the Collegium for appointment to high courts, but were not confirmed by the government. Okay, even though Article 124 or Article 217 that talks about the appointment of the Supreme Court judges and the High Court judges respectively does not mandate reservation. Okay, but the inherent bias, how to address it? Of these, 5 were the only names to be rejected. So constitutional courts have to be gender neutral. Having an equal number of women on the bench will enhance the legitimacy of the courts and give a signal that our judiciary is inclusive, representative of the people whose lives they affect. You talk about the Sabarimala women entry ban. Okay. Even though there was one single women judge on the bench, but she was against the entry of the women in the Sabarimala temple, even though her opinion was against it. Okay, against the entry of the women in Sabarimala temple. But having the women judge on the bench itself instills a sense of satisfaction amongst all the women that yes, there is somebody representing their cause. Like we have representation in the judiciary, we should have representation in the judiciary also. In the bureaucracy we have it. Okay, so that kind of a representation is required in the judiciary as well. It's at least in the higher judiciary, so that these constitutional matters determining the fundamental rights like triple talaq, etc., if all the male judges are going to be there, as we all say that justice should not only be done, justice should be perceived to have been done. Okay, perception of justice is equally important in the civic society, in the society which is becoming more literate, more aware about their rights. So justice should not only be done, it should be perceived also. So you can take a quote, take this note of this quote, so that you can cite at the end of your answer when the matter, when any such issue appears in the exam question, in the form of the question. Now, how to represent, how to address the problem. Collegium should frame a transparent process and provide clear criteria for appointment. The threshold of cases in which a lawyer who aspires to become the judge has appeared, how many social causes cases has he brought to the Supreme Court or the High Court level. Okay, how has been the conduct overall, not only in the matters of representing the rich but the poor, the pro poor judgments that he is extracted from the courts, be it the High Court or the Supreme Court. Second, a focus on gender diversity should be there while making appointments. Though we cannot impose reservation one third or 50% like in Panchayati Raj, etc., but diversity and merit, we have to understand they are not contradictory. Rather, in a society, pluralistic society like ours, it adds another element of opinion. Okay, the diverse society, diverse opinions are required. So diversity makes judiciary more representative. In 2017, the then President of India, Honorable Sir Ramnath Kovind, he had also highlighted the adequate representation of SCs, STs, and women in the judiciary. However, reservation is not the way to go. So moral legitimacy of the judiciary should go up. As I said that Chief Justice of India, Justice Ranjan Gogoi, he molests a women law intern and then goes scot free, then goes without punishment. Okay, so this type of a thing has to be there, that appointment, any appointment of the women in the future should be taken ordinarily, like the appointment of the men is taken. One third rule can be observed but without mandating reservation. There is at present a clear consideration of the state wise representation of judges as well as of caste and religion. Gender diversity also needs to be taken into account to ensure that at least one third of our higher judiciary, if not half, is composed of women. Okay, so this is all, the statements only. Now, how, what is the way? See, we can incentivize the legal education of the women. Okay, talk about the Jindal University of Law, etc. So we need to start from there, that more and more women, they take up the legal profession. Okay, they take up legal profession and they are able to climb up, then senior advocates level. We have to ensure that the designation of senior advocates, when it is given to male members, female members are also considered. The journey should start from the very first step, then only we would be able to see women at the higher echelons of judiciary. Okay, senior advocates, if the more number of senior advocates as women would be there, there are high chances of them being considered for high court position. Then ultimately, when more number of high court judges will be there, there are likelihood of them being appointed for the Supreme Court is high. Okay, now this is another important issue related to GS mains paper 3. This article talks about the problem and the opportunity of the quick commerce. Quick commerce, you understand Blinkit, you understand Zepto. Okay, so what is behind the rise of quick commerce market in India? Even though Amazon and the conventional models like Walmart, they have been quite dominant in the markets like the US, like the developed countries. But in India, quick commerce has been catching up, has been gaining grounds. Okay, rapid delivery, typically in 10 to 20 minutes. These applications like Blinkit, etc., these homegrown startup ideas are giving a tough competition to the conventional model of 2 to 3 day delivery by Amazon, by Walmart, or by Flipkart, etc. Okay, dark stores are behind the success of these quick commerce markets or portals or platforms like Blinkit. Dark stores are located in your neighborhood only. these are shops which are working from the basement but are not available for the public access. Distribution centers, fulfillment centers. So they are the ones who fulfill your order. The moment you start adding things to your cart on the Blinkit, they start filling up your order because they are able to monitor what are you adding. These are strategically located warehouses within the urban areas close to the customer concentration so as to reduce the travel time, reduce the congestion that is there on the arterial roads. Okay, so ordinarily the delivery comes from the arterial road, getting stuck in the traffic, or no entry hours in the urban areas are there. Now, what is further leading to their success? One is the dark stores or the distribution centers. Second is the data driven operations. By leveraging upon your past behavior, past purchasing experience, they know what are you going to order next. When are you going to order? Your order frequency, everything is known to them. So based upon that, they follow the method of first in, first out, or last in, first out, LIFO or FIFO, so as to refulfill or have those items again in their cart or again in their warehouse. So inventory management is optimized, predict and respond to the demand fluctuations. They are able to respond to the demand fluctuations quite quickly. For example, now winters are on their way out. So eggs, coffee, etc. these items would not be ordered by these or stored by these portals or platforms. Then feedback loops are created to better serve the customer. Feedback loop here means what kind of an experience you had with the previous vendor or when your order was delivered the last time. If there was something stale or not so good with the delivery, then that vendor would be given the feedback and he will be required to improve his score rating. Now, moving further, benefits for the brands, increased brand visibility, which is why you talk of Sunsilk, you talk of Palmolive, you talk of Tata Tea. They would want to sell their products to these portals like Blinkit at a hefty discount, which otherwise may not be given to the retail stores, the mom and pop stores. So we are trying to compare the conventional stores versus the tech thing, the commerce tech that is there. Okay, conventional stores are lagging behind because they do not have that deep a pocket. Deep pocket means since these Blinkit etc they are backed by the foreign FDI funders, investors. Okay, so since they have got FDI investment, they are able to order in bulk for the entire country. This kind of a leverage is not there with the retail stores. Now, writer says that in the short run, they are able to economize on the economies of scale. They will order 10,000 soaps or hair oils in one go. Whereas a conventional kirana store, retail store, the mom and pop stores near your house, they order just 100. This is the maximum number I am quoting. Okay, 25 at a time. So by buying 10,000, 20,000 for pan India, they are able to get deep discounts from the portal, from the companies, manufacturers. You talk about Hindustan Unilever etc, they have MOUs or agreements with the manufacturers. Okay, so platforms handle the expensive infrastructure like freezers in dark stores. So producers or manufacturers are relieved of this pain. Market growth and potential is there. They are generating the gig economy based works also, employment also, which is why government has been quite tolerant about these portals or platforms, or acceptable or accommodative. But somewhere they are thwarting the norms also. What are the norms? They are allowed to have cash and carry model, C and C model, which means that they can pay cash to the company like Hindustan Unilever. Unilever, you understand, every shampoo, etc. The FMCG products are by these type of brands only. Okay, spellings are wrong in the rush to complete the topic. Okay, so Unilever, etc. They are supposed to pay cash and pick up. They are not supposed to have warehouse model. Okay, but somewhere in the back end, these platforms, Blinkit, etc., they are having the warehouse model. Warehouse model means they can they can buy 10,000 commodities at a discount and they are storing them in their own warehouses, which is what is not allowed in India. In India, cash and carry model is allowed, so that they are these big portals with a lot of FDI being injected to them are not allowed to have this hefty discount, which will be disadvantageous for the conventional, the homegrown kirana stores, okay, like Guru Bachan store, or you talk about Ankit ki hatti. Likewise, okay, just on the funny side, I'm making this, Rahul ki store, Rahul ki mummy ka store, those kind of things. So the problem is these homegrown stores are going to be vanished. Once they are vanished, these these Blinkit etc., they are then going to extort the customer, because customer will be totally dependent. Dependency they create by giving hefty discounts. You all remember what has Geo done? Okay, earlier it was Geo, follow Fulo, now it is Maro. Why? Because every now and then, even at the Ambani's wedding, you have to pay 50 rupees extra. Even if you are not invited, you have to pay shagun of 50 rupees each by Geo recharge. Right, earlier it was 299, then 349, then 399. The charges have been increased. Why? Now there is no Airtel, now there is no Aircel. The competition, the kind of perfect market competition that was there, has been reduced to near monopoly or oligopoly. You understand these economics terms thanks to the static portion knowledge. Okay, so writer says that we need to take care of the long term predatory pricing. Do we have any authority? Department of Consumers Affairs, DOCA, okay, which itself is giving dhoka. So then Ministry of Consumer Affairs it comes under. The problem is we don't have any regulator, even though Competition Commission of India is there, but Competition Commission of India talks about mergers and acquisitions only. It is not about the predatory pricing. Even though Competition Commission of India's mandate is there, it allows the Competition Commission of India to regulate such kind of predatory pricing or determine the floor pricing below which the goods cannot be sold by the manufacturer to the platform, to the tech platform like Blinkit or Zepto, okay, or the Blinkit and Zepto cannot sell it below a certain price to the customers. So this kind of a phenomena is there, has to be there, so as to ensure the longevity of the nature of the market in the form of perfect market, perfect competition. Otherwise, these short term gains are going to haunt back, are going to hit back the customers. This is how we are supposed to regulate it. Okay, it's a good thing that the FDI is coming into India, that a lot of employment is being generated. These are the good sides of these portals, these platforms. Nonetheless, we have to strike a fine balance between the bad side of them and the good side of them. Bad side is that in the long run, customers will be paying the price, the discounts that they are availing now in the form of the premium pricing that they might have to pay, because there would be no alternative to these platforms, right? Once the competitors are weakened, the platforms allegedly raise the prices to recoup the losses. So this is what they do. So on one hand, we have a Haldiram phenomena, wherein Haldiram is a homegrown brand of India, and on the other hand, we have a Jaldiram phenomena. What do you understand by Jaldiram? These predatory pricing oriented platforms, they want to quickly tap the market, destroy the competition, and have a near monopoly, which is what we need to avoid. Let me give you another term here, monosony. What do we understand by monosony? Monosony, Monopsony. My handwriting may not be as good. Okay, so here, which the portal, the platform which controls both the ends of the market, the producers and the buyers. This is called a monosonistic firm, monosony. So these tech platforms, they do not invest in manufacturing. They do not have the backbone of manufacturing strengthened in India. All they are doing is they are harping on, they are exploiting the already existing Sunsilk shampoo brand, and they tell it that instead of Clinic Plus, we will feature your brand versus Sunsilk, provided you sell the bottle to us for 60 rupees. Manufacturer will sell it for 60 rupees. Sunsilk wants to sell it for 70 rupees. Sunsilk's product will be delisted or would be near hidden on Amazon Insta, Amazon Fresh, or you can talk about Blinkit. And on the buyer's front, buyer will have no option to go to the shops that we have as of now. Okay, so we compare in the offline market and in the online market. So the beauty of the system lies in we have both the ends of the market, dono haath mein laddu. But if one of them is eliminated, we will be in a fix. Moving to the other thing, okay, differential pricing, etc., using customer data. Yes, this is another concerning point. So there was a post on LinkedIn or elsewhere that the Apple phone owners, the iOS owners, for them the pricing is differential, price discrimination. And for Android, they can even know the quality of your phone, how long have you been using it, because of the cache, not the cash, the rupees, but the cash, the data, okay, cookies that they invest, that they install in your phone alongside the application. So user behavior is tracked across the applications. That is how for the same ride Uber is charging you 100 rupees when on Android, and for the same ride Uber is charging you 150 rupees when on Apple. So price discrimination is another unfair practice. Now, the regulatory oversight. This is the problem lacking in India. We opened up our markets. We brought about LPG reforms, but without sufficiently regulating our market. You talk about FSSAI, Food Safety Standards Authority of India. You talk about Competition Commission. You talk about SEBI. Okay, so these names are themselves very funny. Try. Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. Try, and try again. You will never get the success in terms of regulating when it comes to Geo. So this is the problem, right? On a funny side, you can understand Fasai. The Hindi name of Fasai is something somebody has fasawed it, right? Somebody has, co-opted the regulatory part of Fasai because it comes under Ministry of Food, Consumer Protection, etc. So SEBI, it is of Sabhi ki except for the poor people. It is of Adani only. So these type of things are happening when it is under Madhavi Bhuj especially. Now coming to the MCQs, you can have a look at this MCQ. Dark stores, etc. What do we mean by dark store? The term dark store is in context of which market or which phenomena. Now, Parliamentary panel asks the government to conduct census at the earliest. So, Parliamentary Standing Committee on Home Affairs. I ask you a question here. Parliamentary Standing Committee on Home Affairs, its chairman is from which house, Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha? Number one. Then the number two question is how many members, the membership, how many members are there in this Parliamentary Standing Committee on Home Affairs? Okay, so what is its term? Term is very easy to answer. Please answer these questions, otherwise good luck. The panel observed that Union Ministry of Home Affairs may prepare data on influx of immigrants. We conducted NRC, National Register of Citizens. Then we are compiling National Population Register. Then there is census. Okay, so all these exercises have been going on, but in vain. They haven't been brought to their conclusion, and census has been put on abeyance, on hold till eternity, it seems. It was supposed to be started in 2019 end or 2020, and should have been completed by 2022. But due to COVID, the logistical issues and the genuine problems, the government could not conduct it. Now is the time that it should be conducted. Okay, but things are not happening on the ground. The government says, the Parliamentary Standing Committee says that Rohingyas from Myanmar and those from other countries, they need to be identified and extradited. We can use the data collected from the Aadhaar card with other data sets, so that verification as a problem can be reduced, and manual cross checking, which is a time taking process, can also be eliminated. Okay, so this is a kind of suggestion given to the Ministry of Home Affairs to streamline its processes for having an effective data set, and to accordingly repatriate the illegally intruding people from Myanmar, from Bangladesh, from Nepal also, for example, okay, back to their home countries. Real time data collection is needed, for which the help of technology could be taken. Now, coming to our thing, since the census talk is going on, thanks to your delimitation, etc., these topics, they become important for your upcoming prelims also, those of you are appearing in the prelims this year or the next year. So I ask you certain questions. What is the percentage of SCs and STs as per SCs and STs separately as per the census 2011? Can you please answer? Otherwise, again, good luck. So, what is the percentage of what is the child sex ratio as per census 2011? Okay, and also be thorough with the National Family Health Survey data, latest set of data on these parameters: SC, ST, women. Okay, then gender enrollment ratio. All those things become important. Answer these questions. child sex ratio, female child sex ratio, how much is there, and which is the worst performing state when it comes to child sex ratio, right? Then SCST, then what was the population growth rate, or average population growth rate between census 2001 and census 2011. So these questions are, some of them are the previous year questions presented very beautifully, but I'm asking you in a quick manner so that you can be thorough with the details. Okay, look at this question of 2009. The very year itself tells you in which it was asked, 2 years before the census 2011. Okay, so that is why these questions, they become important, all the more important, considering that now the talk is going on quite, I mean, every day we see something related to the census happening in the newspaper. Okay, this is an opportune time to score 2 or 4 questions quite easily. Geography, the human geography part of geography syllabus, it is. Moving further, postponement. The census has been postponed. Okay, preparatory exercises are going on. This is all just cursory thing you have to go through. Budget outlay was presented, but it was given also, but it could not be spent, and revised estimates had revised it to 572 crores around, instead of around 1309 crore initially allocated. Not needed. This data is not needed for your purpose. Sometimes we incorporate data to just tell you as to what is to be skipped out and what is to be read. Now here, this is most important part of this overall news issue. Census serves as the primary source. You know it. Census Act of 1948 is there. I ask you a question here. Which is the entry related to census? Okay, is it given in the state list, union list, or concurrent list? Then the caste census is given in which list? Caste census is given in which list? Union list, state list, or concurrent list? So please answer. Okay, caste census, then Census Act of 1948 is there. Census is for Indian citizens only. National Population Register is to identify the foreign citizens on the Indian soil. National Population Register is prepared according to Citizenship Act 1955 and Citizenship Rules 2003. Alright, then census, more parameters other than demography, such as economic activity, literacy, education, housing, whether the household is owned by the person himself or the family itself or not, how many assets do they have, fixed assets, two-wheeler, how many cattle do they have. These type of questions are also included. Is there any disabled in the family? Is there anyone suffering from the chronic disease? All these things are asked in the census questionnaire. Census does not request individual identity details and operates at a macro level. NPR collects identity details of every individual. So know about the specifics of both these things. Okay, we will keep on incorporating more and more details as and when we come across these type of news articles in the coming days as well. But your homework, you have to do some questions I've asked today, not to bombard you with a lot of questions, but 4 or 5 questions only with regard to census. Do answer them. Make a notebook, make a note of the census 2011, revise it. This is how I did it during my time. This is the practice MCQ. The census is conducted by the Registrar General and the Census Commissioner of India. Registrar General comes under which ministry? Then it is mandatory exercise under Census 1948. Acha, answer one question more. Who was the Governor General or Lord who started this, and what was the year? Lord, the name starts with M. There are many M's, so answer this. Okay, sometimes random questions, they click in the mind, so I think of asking them from you so as to help you as to how the question can be. And since when have we been able to conduct the continuous census? There has been no break, like we saw the break this time around. Census was supposed to be conducted in 2021. So consistently decennial census has been conducted from which year onwards? Another easy question out there. This was all in today's news analysis. It was really a pleasure teaching you, getting myself updated in the process, thinking of some innovative examples, telling you about the Insta market thing, monosony. I hope you really enjoy these terms. Have a great day. We'll meet again, and keep us posted about your views as to how do you find this format of daily news analysis. I personally believe that this is better, since the attention that goes into the camera, mending your hair and looking at your looks, or covering half the PPT slide when we are teaching, looking at you, looking at the camera, that sometimes is not a better experience for the viewer, for the you as well. Okay, so here you are getting to see the complete screen. My looks etc are not important, and you are able to focus better. Still, your thoughts are important to us. Your views are equally important. Let us know if this works. If everybody is comfortable, we'll stick to it. Otherwise, we'll revert back to the old format of live daily news analysis. However, I've requested the team also to upload it on time, so that some people who want to watch it in the morning, in the first half of the day itself, they are able to watch it. And I, for one, I submit it by 9:25. It is by 9:30, 9:40 it will be submitted to the team. Still, I'll make it early so that they are able to process it faster, they are able to review it faster and upload it on time. Thank you guys. PDF will be shared just after the session is uploaded. Okay, that is the protocol that I have to abide by. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a great day.